The escape pod's emergency beacon died 3 hours after impact. Lieutenant Kira Voss watched the light fade on the control panel, then turned her attention to the more pressing problem. Ensign Marcus Webb's mangled arm hung by threads of tissue and sinew, painting the pod's interior with arterial spray. "Leave me," Marcus gasped, his gray face slick with sweat. "Take the emergency kit and go." Kira ignored him. Through the cracked viewport, the jungle of Theta-7 writhed with bioluminescent predators. Command had designated it Class 9 hostile, a death world where even the plants had evolved to kill. The expedition team had lasted 47 minutes before the retreat signal sounded. She'd counted heads as they scrambled for the transport. 19 made it aboard. 20 had deployed. The doors sealed while Marcus was still 30 meters out, clutching the battalion ceremonial flag he'd gone back to retrieve. Captain Hendricks had looked Kira in the eye and said, "We can't risk the ship for 2 people." The transport's engines had screamed to life, and Kira had made her choice. She'd grabbed an emergency pack and jumped. Now, 4 hours into Theta-7's endless night, she worked by the light of chemical flares. The medical kit contained dermal sealant, painkillers, and a bone saw. Marcus needed a trauma surgeon and a sterile environment. He had Kira and a contaminated crash site. "I'm going to take it off," she said quietly. Marcus nodded, biting down on a strip of leather from his boot. The saw's teeth bit through bone with a sound that would haunt her dreams. She sealed the stump, pumped him full of antibiotics, and wrapped his arm in sterile cloth. "Why?" Marcus whispered when it was done. "Because we're getting off this rock," Kira replied, "and you're going to need proof of what they did." She fashioned a sled from the pod's hull plating and dragged Marcus into the jungle. Theta-7's gravity was 1.3 standard, heavy enough to make every step a battle. The air tasted of copper and rot. Things screamed in the canopy above. Kira had grown up on Kepler 442b, where the gravity crushed and the atmosphere burned. Her bones were dense as metal, her muscles corded with strength that made her freakish among her soft-world crewmates. They'd called her Deathworlder behind her back, as if she'd chosen to be born in hell. Now hell was home advantage. She walked for 63 hours straight, dragging Marcus through predator territory. She killed a razorwing with her bare hands when it dove for them. She filtered drinking water through her uniform and forced it down Marcus's throat every 2 hours. When carnivorous vines tried to cocoon them during a rest stop, she burned them away with the last of her flares. The backup beacon she'd salvaged from the pod finally caught a signal on the 3rd day. A rescue ship descended through Theta-7's toxic clouds 12 hours later. Captain Hendricks stood at the airlock, his face carefully neutral. The command crew had gathered behind him, 19 survivors who'd left 2 behind. Kira stepped into the light, covered in mud and alien blood. She dropped Marcus's severed arm at Hendrix's feet, still wrapped in sterile cloth. Then she unfurled the battalion flag she'd carried strapped to her back, the one Marcus had nearly died retrieving, the one they'd all abandoned. "Ensign Webb is in the medical bay," she said, her voice carrying across the hangar. "He'll be filing a formal complaint about the premature departure. I'll be his witness." The captain's jaw tightened. "Lieutenant Voss, you need to understand the impossible position." "No," Kira interrupted. "You need to understand something, sir." She stepped closer, and Hendricks instinctively retreated. "You left a Deathworlder for dead on a death world. That was your first mistake." She pressed the flag into his chest. "Your second mistake was thinking I wouldn't come back." The court-martial lasted 3 weeks. Captain Hendricks was stripped of command. Ensign Marcus Webb received a cybernetic arm and a promotion. Lieutenant Kira Voss became the first Deathworlder to command a deep space expedition. She never let anyone forget what she'd carried out of that jungle, their flag, his arm, and the uncomfortable truth that sometimes the monsters you fear most are the ones who'll save your life.